And we learned that for the first time, I think that was the very first time that a divine being appeared to Joshua on the plains of Jericho. And after that, you cannot find any more record that a divine being appeared to Joshua. But that was only the first time. And we know that it was Jesus Christ who appeared before Joshua. And he was the captain of the Lord's host. Okay? So Joshua was a military leader, the visible military leader of the children of Israel. But Jesus Christ was actually leading the armies of heaven in their conquests. He's the one that directs the battle. And reiterating this experience of the children of Israel, the Apostle Paul wrote to the Hebrews. Well, Hebrews are the people that lives in Hebron. And Caleb got that inheritance by conquest also. Okay, remember this morning's lesson? Yeah. So Hebrew are the people who live in Hebron. So the Apostle Paul tells us about the captain or the leader of our salvation, which is Jesus Christ, perfected through sufferings. Now, in every group has a distinct characteristics that that distinguishes certain group of people. Like, for example, in some writings, for example, maybe like structural engineering, like Gothic, they have their own design. We have also working in McDonald's fast food is different from Burger King. Their employee, they are wearing different uniforms. And also some firefighters are wearing different uniforms. The doctors, well, of course, the doctors are always wearing, I think, universal color. So it's white. Okay. And what about in motorcycle or cars? We have Harley Davidson, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, Holden, different brands. They have distinct characteristics. Police, right? In different countries, police are wearing, of course you can identify that they are police, but they are wearing different uniforms from different countries. And also we have businessmen and soldiers in the military. They are wearing different uniforms and different cultures of people, and also religions. And also each of this group is trying to make a statement, okay? And the question is, can you be a part of the group without complying with their code? I heard many times, and just this week, I received a message that somebody wants to join our church. So I said, well, we have to, our church have rules and regulations in accepting members in the church. Okay? So can you be part of a group without complying with their code? Okay? So the uniform and appearance of each group corresponds to the job. Okay? So have you been to the mechanic shop and have you seen any mechanical person there? The one that repairs our cars, wearing neckties, wearing white clothes? Have you seen them like that? It's totally different, right? So those are blue-collar jobs, and it's different from white-collar jobs. So, brethren, my subject today is your dress is whose command? In 2 Timothy chapter 2, 3, and 4, we find the Apostle Paul writing to the young person, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who had chosen him to be a soldier." So all of us here are enlisted in the army of Jesus Christ. So Christ is the captain of our salvation, and you are one of the soldiers, and he expected you to obey every command. Okay? So we remember during college and high school that we have to obey military orders. So there's a real warfare. This is no ordinary battle, brethren. Contending armies always have different uniforms. So let us turn to Ephesians chapter 6, and we find there the whole armor of God. 10 to 17, and probably some of us here knows this text. In verse 10, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." So Paul speaking about the whole armor of God. It is not just one part that can be worn. It is necessary, brethren, to wear this armor. As the Apostle Paul explained, "For we wrestle," or we are fighting not against flesh and blood, but against what? Against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So we have an enemy that cannot be seen. Can you see evil angels? But they're there, right? That's why we have to put on the whole armor of God. So from 14 to 17, Paul enumerated those different types of armors that can protect us from damages. And during the Civil War in 1963 in the United States of America, two contending parties, and they are wearing, they are wearing different colors of uniform. The other party was wearing the color blue, and the other party was wearing the color gray. And I remember a story that there was a man who doesn't want to fight on either side. So he decided to wear the top color blue and the pants gray because he doesn't want to fight. And he got shot in both sides. He wants to remain neutral. Neutrality, brethren, is dangerous. You will be shot by both sides. Okay? So let us go on. We will be talking about dress. The subject of dress makes, I guess, definitely will make our church different from other churches. Okay? And we want to know our position from biblical standpoint. And we should understand why we should dress in such a manner. Simplicity of dress will make a sensible woman appear to the best advantage. You see, there's a great advantage for women, okay, when we dress according to biblical principle. We judge of a person's character by the style of dress worn. Right? Gaudy, an expression which means flashy or extravagant, betrays or reveals vanity and weakness. A modest, godly woman will dress modestly. A refined taste A cultivated mind will be revealed in the choice of simple and appropriate attire. So, you see here, how dress tells us of what we are. Yes, it has something to do of what we are, brethren. So we will go on. We judge a person's character by the choice of dress, style of dress. And how important is our dress also, along with our words and our actions. Our words, our actions, and our what? And our dress are daily living preachers. Who are preachers today? When we talk about preachers, we always simply means that a person that always standing in the pulpit, right? Speaking. But our words, our actions, and our dress, they are what? Speaking to people every day. Gathering with Christ or scattering abroad. And this is no trivial matter to be passed off with a jest. The subject should demand serious reflections and much prayer. Okay? So this is actually not a common, although we chose dress every day, but the matter of dress should be considered seriously and with prayer. Okay. Now here is a style of dress, brethren. I think just have some portion of that. But when you saw somebody that is wearing this, what comes to your mind? Oh, that person must be an Indian, or yeah, it could either be a Hindu or a Muslim from India, right? So the style of dress will tell the person what he is. Okay? With the style of dress. Oh, he's an Indian, or she is an Indian or a Muslim from India. And what about if we saw a group of people wearing like this? Maybe they are having some costume fair festival or what? No, these are a common male attire in Saudi Arabia and Arab countries. Okay, so we can see immediately that they are what? Oh, these people embrace the Islamic faith. Okay, by the way they dress. And another one here. When you look at them, what are they? Yeah, we can tell them, oh, they're nuns. Yeah, they're a group of women in the Catholic order, never married to a man. So we can tell them that these people are by the way they dress. There's no need to explain further. Okay, there's no need to explain further. And well, another group of people here, they're of course Christians, but can you identify them? Which Christian denominations they came? Conservative or lax, or well, you could tell by the picture, right? But they're Christians. But you don't know if they are Christian really, right? It could mean they could be somebody from Baptist, Methodist, right? So there is no distinguishing element. You cannot identify them immediately, which is sad. They profess to be Christians, but you don't know if which group they belong to. Okay? Which group? And in those times, in early days, in the biblical times, in the Old Testament, harlots are known by their dress. Prostitutes, they are known by the dress. In Rome, you will know that it is a prostitute because they are wearing high heels. But today, people who are wearing high heels, I do not tell them that they are prostitutes. You'll be in trouble. right? Right? But in those days, in the time of Rome, they are what? Those wearing high heels they are actually prostitute. That is a common practice. Okay? And going back millennials to the time, probably when Moses wrote this book in Genesis, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face. So Judah, one of the sons of Jacob, went to somewhere else, and when he looked at a person, it was a woman, and immediately he knows that it was a harlot. Why? By the way she dressed. But today, it's hard to identify who is a harlot or not. It's hard to identify. If you guess today, you'll be in trouble. Okay? So, and King Solomon had some words of wisdom in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. But applying these words of King Solomon in our days, it's hard to determine because most people today are going out in the night, and you do not tell them that they are also harlot, right? And they are also hiding in darkness, but you cannot tell them that they are harlot. But the practice in those times, although we have this today, is different in our days. But in those days, usually activities like this are done in the night. And the way they dress will identify them that they are harlot. So the dress tells us of what we are and what is our background. But anyway, here's a group of young people. They dress nice, and you can tell them what they are. Can you tell them? Can you say that they are religious? Of course, they are religious. Well, some of the non-religious can also have this attire. Okay, but this is young people from Colombia in our church. So that's how we practice in our church, how we dress, especially for women. And somehow there's a big difference as a church, of course. So we want to see our young people and also our members of the church dress in an appropriate manner according to the Word of God. Now let us look back, brethren, the dress before sin. By the way, what kind of dress does Adam and Eve wear? Or was wearing in this time? Now before the fall, before sin. Do you know what type of dress? Was Adam was wearing like a kingly robe because he was crowned king of Eden? Brethren, here. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 25, we find the record of Moses. And they were both, referring to Adam and Eve, they were both naked. The man and his wife, and they are not ashamed. They were not ashamed, although they were naked, but they were not ashamed. Now, the expression here naked does not mean that they are not wearing robes, but they have apparel, they have clothes, they have robes, brethren, but they are not wearing those types of materials that they are wearing today. So, in Psalms 104 verse 2, we find there that, light as a garment, when coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. So this is what? The kind of garment that Adam and Eve was wearing. And it is the kind of garment that the angels are wearing too. And it is called as the robe of the robe of light. So Adam and Eve were wearing the robe of light. And when they committed sin, this robe of light was taken from them. It was taken from them. So when Adam and Eve were under the control of Satan, by yielding to temptation, they dressed according to their mind. The dress did not properly cover either the upper or the lower part of the body. And what was their dress after that? Let us turn to Genesis, and you will find there what substitute they put on with the robe of light. Genesis chapter 3, 7 and verse 8. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves what? Aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And in verse 10, and he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. When Adam and Eve committed sin, they were hiding from the Lord. But it's totally different in our generations, brethren. Some people go to the church. Sometimes you can, with an appropriate attire, and they want to present themselves before the Lord. But Adam and Eve did not dare to see God when they were naked. Okay? So, what type of dress they have? Apron. So, by definition, an apron is a garment that is worn over other clothing and covers mainly the front of the body. That is an apron. But worse for Adam and Eve because they only what? They have aprons of fig leaves. That's a substitute for the tree of life, figs. Have you eaten figs here? Well, you can buy it at the market, right? Mm-hmm. But you see, brethren, this is the case of Adam and Eve. So the apron only covers certain parts of the body. It does not cover all. So that was the covering they have after the robe of light was taken from them. So fig leaves clothing, that is apron. So in our days we have those aprons. Really it covers front of the body. Now when God placed enmity in their hearts against the devil, he changed their manner of dress and clothed them. God did not accept them in his service half-clothed. They were not totally stripped off of or without covering, but they are half-clothed. But God did not accept them half-clothed. So in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, tells us, I will put enmity. What is enmity? Warfare. Right. I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. He shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And unto Adam also, unto his wife, did the Lord God make coats of what? Here's a kind of dress that God gave them. Coats of skin and clothed them. So we have two types of clothing, brethren. After sin, they have apron and they have the coat of skin. So we have coats of skin or the modest clothes. And what's the purpose of God giving them the coats of skin? Because there was changes in the temperature, in the atmosphere, brethren. Look at here. In this reading, in this reference, the atmosphere once so mild and uniform in temperature, was now subject to marked changes. And the Lord mercifully provided them with a garment of skins as a protection from heat and cold. So the clothes that God provided for Adam and Eve was a protection for them from heat and cold. And sometimes the temperature is chilling and sometimes the temperature is hot. So the Lord knows about that. So He provided them that appropriate clothing so that they will be protected from chilling and heat. So a coat is a garment worn by men and women for warmth or fashion. Now let us see the differences between the two. An apron and a coat. So an apron is only a small piece of material, while a coat is what? Large piece of material. And usually the apron covers the front of the person, but the coat covers the back and also the front of the person. An apron, it has no sleeves. Do you know what is a sleeve? Okay. But a coat, they have sleeves. An apron, usually short. A coat is usually long. And an apron does not cover the skin and the form of the person. But the coat covers the skin and also covers the form of the person. So this is the principle from biblical rule. So what is wrong with this with this pattern of dress here? Is there something wrong here? Is it acceptable? Short dresses? Are we wearing short dress? Yes, we are. We are wearing short dresses, but we put on something so that our short dress will not be revealed. But we are wearing short dresses, right? But we are not wearing short dresses alone. That's the reality. What is the problem with low necklines dress? It could be that a person is wearing with long sleeves, right? Good material, but when they bend, there's a problem. Sleeveless blouses, that's the same problem. Expose the private parts of, especially with a woman. And what about this sheer clothing? Sheer clothing, right? That is peekaboo. We call that. You know that is a peekaboo clothes. Although it covers, but you could see through. Right? Peekaboo. So you cover, but with this, I like this. Similar to that. Yeah, that is actually the mechanics of sheer clothing. Okay? So you cover your face, but you could still see. So they have many objectionable traits. And tight clothing. And what about slacks? Slacks can cover the skin but could not cover the form of the person. You could still see the form of the person. So let us remember, brethren, the coat principle. It covers the skin, at the same time hide the form. That's the basic concept of dress, proper dress. It should cover the skin and covers the form of the person. So in any culture around the world, brethren, you can see this principle. Although we're not living in Saudi Arabia or in the desert, but the same principles that they are wearing too. You know that? The Arabs, their dress covers their skin and covers their form. And what about us? Well, so there are modest dresses also, European and the Western countries, that clothes that can cover your skin and can cover your form. Okay? Those are modest. And also, that's what God's plan for us. Now let us turn to Isaiah 47, 1-3. And we have here something that when I read it this morning, I noticed that it talks about the lower extremity of a person. Now look at here. Come down and sit in the dust, a virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the tide, pass over the river. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, the shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, I will not meet thee as a man. So what are the parts of the person that were mentioned, the parts of the body that were mentioned here? And it should be covered, right? The leg and the thigh. Okay? So it's not convenient for a Christian brethren to wear short pants in the public. Yeah? Based on this here. Because usually those are supposed to be what? Should be covered well. So, especially for women, you should cover your extremities. That's why the coat principle apply. Cover your skin and cover your form. That will give the women the best advantage. So, nakedness in this text is equal to without adequate. There's clothing but not adequate, like apron. Still consider nakedness. So, brethren, in 1 Timothy chapter 2, 9 and 10, I'm reading from the English Standard Version, and you can read that from King James Version. Likewise, also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel. Oh, I like this translation, respectable apparel. In other words, when they look at you, when they look at the woman, it will command respect. The dress will tell them to respect you. With modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold and pearls or costly attire, but with what is proper for women who profess godliness. So I like this thought here that, our dress should command respect. If you dress properly, when you go to the shop, they will call you sir. It happens to me one time. As if they were thinking that I am the owner of the shop. Anyway, I don't have even money to buy the goods. But they were thinking that I'm the owner of the shop. Yeah? Yeah, they were asking, where's your office? Well, I don't know. So that is, brethren. And another thing here. So the dress of Christ followers should be symbolic. In all things, we are to be representative of Him. Our appearance in every respect should be characterized by neatness, modesty, and purity. The royal family, they have protocol, brethren. They call that protocol. But in our church, we call it dress code. Okay? The royal family, they have dress protocol. In our church, we have dress code. Okay? And this dress code are characterized by neatness, modesty, and purity. Who invented fashions? Yes, Satan is ever inventing fashions that cannot be followed except through the sacrifice of money, time, and health. This is the evil of following fashions. Why? Spend your money, spend your time, spend your health. Have you seen Bill Gates? Have you seen, the founder of Facebook? Have you seen the CEO of Apple? What do you notice about them? I notice about them, brethren, that they are always wearing almost the same type of clothes every day. Yeah? And almost the same color. Why? Maybe they know this following fashion will cost them money, will cost them time and health. And that's the evil of fashion. However, we are not also encouraged to wear potato sack. What is that? We are not also encouraged to wear potato sack. Although we should not be extravagant, but we should not go to the other extreme. Okay? Sisters, when about their work, should not put on clothing which would make them look like images to frighten the crows from the corn. Okay? In other words, should be what? Modest and neat. Not when the birds saw you, they will be, we should not be like scarecrow in appearance. So, but not extravagant, but not also the other extreme. Okay? That everyone will be frightened. Now, there are instructions here. And let's escape this. Simple, plain, unpretending dress will be a recommendation to my youthful sisters. In no better way can you let your light shine to others than in your simplicity of dress and deportment. I'd like to invite you to turn with me to Luke chapter 8 for the concluding statements of the study. In Luke chapter 8, 27 to 35, there's a wonderful lessons that we can glean from this story. This is a case of demon possession. Luke chapter 8, 27 to 35. Now let us read through. 27. And when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils long time, and wear no clothes. What type of person that met Jesus? A person that was possessed by the demon, and he's wearing no clothes. Look at there. Neither abode in any house, but in the tombs. Strange, eh? And when he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God, Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not. In verse 29, For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and in fetters, and he brake the bands, and was driven of the devil into the wilderness. And Jesus asked him, saying, What is thy name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. Legions means thousands. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep. And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain, and they besought him that he would suffer them to enter into them. And he suffered them. And when the devils out of the man and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a step placed into the lake, and were choked. When they that fed him saw what was done, they fled and went and told it in the city and in the country. And then they went out to see what was done, and came to Jesus and found the man. Here we go. And found the man out of whom the devils were departed, sitting at the feet of Jesus. What was the change here?
He was no longer naked.
He was no longer naked. Meaning what, brethren? He was sitting at the feet of Jesus, clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid. Okay? So the other side of this man, when he was possessed by the devil, is what? He was not in his proper mind. He wore no clothes. And then, terrible condition, brethren. He is what? You cannot restrain him. You cannot restrain him. Right? But after Jesus cast the demons from this man, where can we find a person? There's no need to restrain him. He was in the feet of Jesus, just sitting down there. And wearing what? He was wearing clothes. And also in his right mind. So we have here three things that happens to this man. He was sitting at the feet of Jesus, he was wearing clothes, and in his right mind. Does this have a lesson for us? So the clothes that we are wearing, brethren, also tells us the state of mind. Okay? But we do not want to go to the extreme that, that we will strip off. Of course here, he wore no clothing, meaning that is nakedness. Right? That is nakedness. So, that is demon possession. I'm not saying today that those who are naked or just wearing few clothes are possessed by the demon, but it has something to do with the state of the mind, or else with our education or the influence that surround us. But of course, brethren, who is behind the fashion of the day? Is it the head of the demons, right? The Satan. So, when we come to Jesus, we learn of him, like this man sitting at the feet of Jesus, and we have to what? We have to put on the right clothes, and that tells us that we have the mind of Jesus already. So in this warfare, brethren, choose which uniform you are going to wear. Choose you this day whom you will serve. Okay? Whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell, but as for me and my house, all of us can say, we will serve the Lord. This is my wish and prayer to everyone. God bless you all.